I've never cared much for the true crime genre. In fact, I've always found it to be rather cringe. 95% of true crime content creators are female, and there are several reasons for this. As we know, women absolutely love to play the victim. Women will often take on the perceived struggles of other women in order to play the victim by proxy. Inherently, women are much more social creatures than men, and are therefore more likely than men to team up in order to obtain the societal outcomes they desire. Unfortunately, in the modern era, their goals as a group are subversively bigoted and usually center around their ongoing campaign of hostility towards men. And the true crime cash cow industry is the perfect vehicle for this form of mob mentality. It's all about gossip, projection, and conformity, all of which are things the typical modern female excels at. Women in the true crime scene study cases from the past and want their viewers to think that they are experts on any given criminal's motivations, but they are often wrong. This, however, doesn't stop them from repeating a knee-jerk pattern of anti-male persecution every single time the mainstream media feeds them a brand new, carefully selected case to obsess over. And strangely, the women of true crime almost seem aroused by many of these famous murderers. Perhaps the aggressive nature of male killers sparks their innate attraction to strength, fame, arrogance, and power. How many times have we seen women complain about so-called toxic masculinity, only to secretly pursue the same toxic men they claim to be disgusted by? How excited do these women get, ceaselessly giving coverage and attention to every tiny crumb of damning information the authorities dole out? It seems as though the never-ending drama that this genre provides is quite addictive for them. Because women are able to find the social affirmation that they so desperately need within the phenomenon of mob conformity, the true crime scene will continue to cling to narratives and agendas that give them a feeling of empowerment. But this then begs the question, where does a woman's true power lie? Well, most unfortunately, according to the women of true crime, a woman's power lies solely within her sexuality and the effect or influence that her sexuality has upon the behaviors of men. This is what they have reduced themselves to. And it explains exactly why women in the true crime scene are so eager to label any newly accused male perp as a, quote, incel. They would love for everyone to believe that their vaginas are the most important thing in the world, and that any and all forms of male frustration must stem from a man's failure to gain access to a vagina. In reality, however, the vast majority of men who struggle to gain access to vagina are nowhere near as obsessed with it as these women would love for everyone to believe. Most male frustration actually comes from our struggle to preserve the patriarchal order that God, in His infinite wisdom, gifted to humanity. As we've seen in recent decades, the delusion of female supremacism has derailed centuries of real human progress and now threatens to completely undermine the very system that men built in order to protect women from themselves. You see, women are helplessly self-destructive creatures and must therefore be constantly micromanaged for their own good. Don't they realize that the attention they're willing to give might just be exactly what motivates future perpetrators? Or is that just the business model? After all, how many purses, how many palettes of eyeshadow, how many brand new pairs of shoes have been purchased with the blood money these content creators have generated for themselves? Should the genre of true crime even be allowed to continue existing on YouTube? What purpose does it really serve, other than the continued abusive and parasitic monetary exploitation of the dead?